Justice of the peace we are not. Aussie here with first encounter. Earlier today my brother and I were outside a big name supermarket inside the local shopping center which USA folks would think of as a mall. We were standing next to a desk table set up for when the justice of the peace would be seated when serving the public. They do notarizations, and other things I think. I was leaning on the handle of the trolley holding my groceries having a laugh talking about how the PlayStation 1 was the same shape, size, and weight of a paver. I had made a crack at how someone with extremely poor eyesight could accidentally stick a wrapped paver under Christmas tree and lay a path with a PlayStation 1 included. As we were laughing our asses off, an elderly bloke had come up thinking we were the justice of the peace and asked if we were open. Nice bloke, just wanting to get whatever he needed over and done with. Didn't transform into a whiny bastard when we told him we weren't the one he was looking for. Just plain human error without trouble given for dissuading him, he just walked off to wait. TLDR old bloke wanted a notary and was delightfully polite when my bro and I said we weren't a notary. Edit, I forgot to add this. Aussie humor can be triggering and confusing especially when you're autistic as well. It's not a crack at people with poor eyesight, it's a crack at Sony for making a gaming console that looks like a paver. Just how often do employees lie about working somewhere that makes Karens so stubborn about customers being employees? I apologize if this is something that's already been addressed before, but I've read a lot of stories on this subreddit, and can't help wondering something. From a good chunk of the experiences I've read here, the Karens who confuse innocent customers for employees will stubbornly refuse to accept that they don't work there, and insist that they're lying to avoid having to do anything. They'll even go so far as to accuse actual staff members or even managers of covering for their laziness, as if that can be the only explanation. The thing is, how frequently do employees who actually work where they are lie about working there, for Karens to think the customers they harass are lying? I don't count being off the clock, because, well, you're off duty, nothing you can really do about that. Is it just narcissism at work, being psychologically incapable of accepting they are in the wrong, or is it some form of projection, as in, they are assuming your behavior is based off of what they themselves would do in the same situation? They're not all bad. Little story of me and my co-worker the other day at the electronics store where blue is in fashion. We are walking around the store looking at stuff together, then I tell him I'm going to split off and go look at a TV. I walk through the entire store and not a single associate says a word to me, which is odd because usually they are on you like a hawk. I'm looking around minding my business. My co-worker walks up and says, "Dang man, I had to walk away from the laptops. I was asked by 5 different associates if I needed anything. Then they all just hovered." I told him they haven't bothered me at all. We walked around the store a bit more wondering why they never said anything to me because they are normally vultures, no offense to anyone that works there. Then I get a tap on my shoulder, "Old timer, can you tell me where the DME cords are?" Me, huh? "Oh, I don't work here man, sorry." Old timer, "Oh shoot, sorry about that, you are wearing blue so I just assumed." That was my moment of realization. Me, "Oh yeah, no biggie." Me, "Well either way if you look at the pole in the back that says video components that's where they will be." Old timer, "Thank you." Moral of the story: not all of them are dinguses and wear blue to avoid the vultures. Edit, sorry I misspelled the title. Karen grabs my serial killer book thinking I'm a lazy employee. My mom has been making masks as a little side hustle and is always going to stores to find more fabric. I decided to go with her this time to Walmart because I wanted to get out of the house. She wanted to get this particular fabric she hadn't been able to find anywhere else, but when we got to the fabric section there were no employees. Fine, my mom rings the bell, which is pretty loud, and then went to finds her fabric and waits. Still no employee after 10 minutes. At this point, I'm sitting on the desk meant to cut fabric, crisscrossed and everything. Something to note here is I look *nothing* like a Walmart employee. Walmart employees have a vest with the symbol on it, blue shirt, and khaki pants. I'm wearing jeans, a white t-shirt. I'm also reading Top 10 Worst Serial Killers book to pass the time, true crime nerd, so definitely not working. My mom puts the bolts of fabric on the table and goes to track down an employee, and leaves me to read. Maybe 5 minutes later, an elderly woman holding a bolt of fabric walks up to me. She didn't look at like a Karen, and asks if I could cut her fabric as well. I try telling her that I didn't work there, but insisted I did because you're already there. Me, no, I really don't work here. I'm just waiting for my mom to come back with an employee. Her, but you're at the cutting station and you need to do your job. Me, I'm not working here. I'm reading. / gestures book / I go back to my book and try to ignore her, thinking the conversation is over. No. This lady grabs my books and yells, "Why aren't you doing your job?" She then looks at the book and freezes for a second. I use that to grab my book again from her and say, "I don't work here, lady. But now that I know that you're so interested in my book, why don't I read you a part of it? Would you rather the man that slaughtered and / aped over 100 young boys, or the man who mutilated little girls?" Sure, it wasn't the nicest thing to say, but it got her to leave me alone and go somewhere else. Man tries to steal my shopping cart. Funny ending. This happened to me about a month ago. I was running errands and my final stop was to buy some groceries. I had just gotten off of work, and was still in my work uniform, which is a black polo with a big staff across the back and my company's logo on the front of the shirt. Now, I hate walking into stores with a staff shirt on. I'm not a fan of strangers people knowing where I work or causing confusion for having a staff shirt on when I don't work at a business. For this reason, if I'm in my work shirt, I will throw on a jacket or hoodie before I walk in some place. This is exactly what I'd done just before I entered the grocery store. So my staff shirt for the place that I do work is completely covered by an oversized varsity jacket with studs and a big tiger across the back, and I have ripped black jeans on. The uniform for the grocery store is green branded t-shirts and khaki pants. I look nothing like the staff there. Because this is the time of COVID, when I go to grab a shopping cart, I stop by the sanitizing station to wipe down the cart before I begin shopping. The sanitizing station is just inside the entrance doors of the grocery store. As I'm finishing up wiping down my shopping cart, another shopper walks in. A man with a baseball cap on. The man sees me cleaning a shopping cart, walks up to me and says, "Oh great, thanks," and tries to grab the front of the cart and walk away. Not understanding yet that he thought I worked there, I think he's trying to steal it from me and have a vice grip on the back of the cart, which causes him to stumble. He whips his head back around and goes, "What do you?" before cutting off mid-sentence and actually looking at me. In my ripped skinny jeans. And my tiger varsity jacket. And my judging eyes. He then quietly says, "Oh. You don't work here," before immediately turning around and walking away into the grocery store, without a cart of his own. As I watched him walk away, finally realizing that he thought I was cleaning the cart for him, I see him pulling his baseball hat low down on his head in shame. He then stood in the distance by a soda display, hat low, and turns to face the shopping cart section. No doubt waiting for me to leave the area. I chuckled as I walked away to do my shopping, and when I was finally a safe distance away, I did catch him out of the corner of my eye slowly approach the carts again, shake his head slightly, and grab one. "It's all right, man. We all make mistakes." Wrote this on my phone, so apologies for any writing mistakes. Let me out. Not exactly work, but a good tale. Many years ago my son was having a difficult year as a teenager. The details don't matter, but at one point he was temporarily in a mental health facility for his own good. His mother, who is now my ex-wife, and I went to visit him in his locked-down psychiatric ward. My ex was an angry person, always upset, always shouting, blaming, shrieking. Honestly, she was probably a large contributor to his difficulties. She is now my ex-wife for a good reason. When we went to visit him, she went on one of her typical tirades and shrieked at him, actually blaming him for disrupting her life. Just what a suicidal person needs. She got so upset over his blunt reaction to her shrieking that she ran out of the visiting room and to the door that we had entered earlier. She did not realize the door only opened in. In her agitated state, she grabbed and pushed and pulled her 98-pound weight against the steel security door. She started shrieking, "Let me out, let me out. I have to get out of here." A very kind nurse came up and put a gentle arm on her shoulder. "I'm afraid we will have to talk to the doctor before you can leave." Well, that did not go over very well. She really started shrieking then, shouting at the nurse, at me, and our son, as we all stared at her raving. The other patients in the day room were all calmer than she was. I let her twist in the wind a few moments with the nice attendant, kind of rolled my eyes and got up and calmly informed the nurse that this shrieking, wailing person flailing at the door was not a patient, but a visitor. My son and I still have a good laugh about that now and then. He does not talk to him mom much to this day, and he has recovered very well from his troubled times. I found a woman who is nice.